Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're on to the afternoon now, about a couple of minutes. Right, my name is Alex Berardinelli. I'm one of the channel account managers in Red Hat, covering a number of partners in the UK and the Irish space. In Ireland, we don't have a direct sales presence, so usually all the direct sales queries usually come to me, who will then be fulfilled by our partners already in the territory. So the aim of today is to give a bit of a high-level overview of the company, the organization, as well as highlighting the business model, our go-to-market, as well as obviously the opportunity that a potential partnership will bring to you and indeed your customers as well. So hopefully we'll be able to achieve that in the 10 minutes I got allocated. So here's Red Hat. Red Hat is by far and large the number one open source company present at global level. We IPO'd in 1999 and have been growing ever since, quite exponentially, ever since through organic growth as well as acquisitions. About 90% of the Fortune 500 companies do deploy an element of Red Hat products and services. We have about 9,000 employees, probably 9.5 now, and we pretty much cover every single corner of the globe with direct presence and offices. And if we don't reach that, then we use our partner ecosystems to do that. In terms of what we do, so we offer a range of mission-critical software and servicing, covering different areas within your data center. I think the operating system is what we are traditionally known for, and I think is what still represents the majority of our revenue, around about 70%, I think. However, in time, we branched out to different areas. For example, middleware and application development, virtualization, and cloud and storage as part of our what we call emerging technologies products. Most recently, which are actually gaining a lot of focus and strategic directions from the organization. The benefits that these products actually take to the market are very much related to the open source model, which I'll explain to you as we go along. But essentially, this flexibility, this innovation, fast innovation technology, and time to market, and this cost effectiveness when it comes to the actual price. We don't actually sell a license because we don't own the IP. We sell a subscription, which I'll tell you more about as we go along. In terms of growth, so we've been growing about 25-27% year on year since 2003, since the launch of the Enterprise Linux version 3. We reached the milestone of $1 billion in 2013, and we recently announced back in March the $2 billion mark. So that's what we're getting there with a very aggressive growth plan to actually grow up to $5 billion in the next 3 years. So watch this space. In terms of the way we are, the revenues are divided, so about 25% of that comes from the EMEA region, and about 70% of that revenue bookings is actually done indirectly through you guys, channel solution providers, OEMs, etc., etc. Perhaps kind of most recent news, you might have heard of this newly formed partnership with Microsoft. We now seem to be best buddies with them. Whereby we actually provide Enterprise Linux to run on their public cloud, Azure, therefore being available on demand as a compute resource on demand. We also acquired an organization called Ansible, who are a leader in the IT automation and DevOps space. That was back in October 2015. A growing market for partners, so I think this is to highlight the opportunity, I guess. Partners and obviously customers as well. So back in 2005, we had about an $8 billion addressable market that was solely made up of operating system. Obviously, through acquisitions and branching out onto different areas, it's estimated that by 2017, the addressable market for Red Hat will be in the region of about $60 billion. So it's considerably larger, and therefore is a considerably larger opportunity. Just some of the bigger names, I guess, that we got as case studies. They only represent a very small portion of what we do. I think British Airways is quite an interesting case study in a sense that they actually use Red Hat Enterprise Linux wall to wall and have used that replacing VMware, for example, who are the absolute market leader in the space. Going back to the open source model, if you're not familiar with it, I mentioned earlier the benefit that this type of development approach can bring to you. But essentially, the open source is a community of of people developing, working on specific projects, 1 million plus projects. Now, not all these projects will actually become an actual product, but some of those will do. So what we do as Red Hat, we participate to that community. We actually have some of the developers in our books as paid employees. We then take a snapshot of a specific code. We put it through a very rigorous Q&A. We make it stable. We stick an SLA around it, and we sell it onto the enterprise market so they can actually be used within the enterprise space. We sell it as a subscription. Again, it's not a license, and I'll tell you more what that actually means. If you look on the right-hand side, those are all Red Hat products that we currently sell. Each and every one of these products actually has its own upstream project in the community. For example, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the upstream project is called Fedora, or also CentOS. That's the subscription model. So what I mean, subscription is not just technical support. You may be forgiven if you think that it's only technical support. It does have an element of technical support. We providing unlimited support, incidents, etc. But it also means ongoing delivery around stability. We actually offer a life cycle up to 10 years of our products. There's patches, security fixes, and updates. There's an element of expertise around knowledge-based transfer, customer portal, for accessibility to forums, but there's also commitments, especially around hardware and software certification. We certified in excess of 1,800 hardware platforms and in excess of 3,000 software platforms as well. We also offer a software assurance. Being an open source product, you need some level of assurance to go with it. I mentioned cloud being one of our emerging technology products, and actually seeing a lot of focus and investments from Red Hat to grow in that specific space. The idea is to actually grow revenues in the next 3 years. Around about 50% of the revenues will need to come from emerging technologies. A recent survey asked some of the enterprise CEOs who will be your cloud IT suppliers in the next 5 years, and Red Hat came up third amongst some pretty big household names, as you can see there. OpenStack is our infrastructure as a service product, so it's basically what allows you to create a private cloud. Back in 2014, with the Juno release, we were at the top of the charts in terms of contributors to it. I think we're currently number 3, if I'm not mistaken, on the very latest release. I mentioned the operating system still representing about 70% of our revenues. I think that's still true. This is slightly probably up 2 or 3 years out of date. However, in the Linux distribution, the market share that Red Hat had at the time was about 66%. I think it's probably similar nowadays. So as you can see, our nearest competitor is quite further down the pecking order, as you can see. In terms of actual Linux operating system, it's estimated that by 2017 there will be mainly 2 operating systems left in the data center, and that will be Windows and Linux. Obviously, with Red Hat, we have a strong position when it comes to the Linux distribution, and it's also estimated that new virtual instances will grow at a parity when it comes to Microsoft Windows and Linux. In terms of, so we sell a subscription. We have specific programs, specific subscriptions. For example, we've got programs for solution providers, very much alike, I guess, some of the vendors that we mentioned earlier, with all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a serious enterprise IT vendor. We've got specific programs for cloud service providers as well, and we have subscriptions that will address some specific use cases, for example, developers and academia. Our primary subscription, it provides could be standard premium support, provides technical advice, the ability to actually influence the direction of the product. You actually have that ability when you have a Red Hat subscription, etc. High level of our infrastructure stack. So the Red Hat Enterprise Linux obviously is sitting at the bottom. This can be managed via a specific system management tool called Red Hat Satellite, and then on top of that we've got our Red Hat Jboss middleware portfolio, as well as our Glasser storage, which is our software-defined storage scalable file system product. The middleware portfolio doesn't only sit; it can also be deployed on Windows. By the way, it's not necessarily just on Linux. In terms of developer solutions, so I mentioned the Jboss and middleware. We're seeing quite strong growth of this in this area, perhaps growing at a faster rate than other products within the organization. This is not just application development, although that represents probably still the strongest area. But we also have products around integration, a product called Jboss Fuse, which competes against the likes of WebLogic and WebSphere in the space. We have a business rules engine. We have a business process management engine as well. We also have in the mobile application platform space, we acquired an Irish company you may be familiar with, and that was a couple of years ago, called Feed Henry, which was going to give us the ability to cover that specific area. If you remember, Trevor's one of the challenges that he mentioned was around the ability for enterprise and organization to actually develop on a mobile platform as well. And cloud solutions, so I think everything is kind of centered around OpenStack. Is the infrastructure as a service is our private cloud tool. Will allow you to create obviously your cloud within your data center. But we also have tools and orchestration tools specifically called Red Hat Cloud Forms that will allow you to actually manage your instances all the way from bare metal, virtualization, private cloud, and public clouds. The public cloud we're certified with in this specific space are the Google, Amazon, and Azure, Microsoft Azure. We also offer consultancies around implementation, technical design, architecture design, and deployment. Although we're not a consultancy firm or organization, so we actually do lean on the likes of partners to take some of the projects further. We also have a world award-winning training department. We offer 40 plus different courses with a lot of different certifications which are industry recognized, and we train in excess of 1 million people in the last few years. So essentially, just to recap, Red Hat is the world's leading developer and supplier of open source solutions. It's a high growth, multi-billion-dollar company. Globally active in all the different major vertical in the market. We offer a comprehensive portfolio of products and services. So again, very high level. I do encourage you to come and talk to me, perhaps on a one-to-one basis, or grab me a lunch or dinner later if you'd like to understand more about how to go to market together. So thank you very much.